Welcome to r/slash relationship advice, where OP's boyfriend intentionally murders a dog. Yeah, this is a doozy. I've been trying to post it since it happened, but just haven't really been able to process it. So I'm a 23-year-old male, and I'm the oldest of 5 siblings. The others are a 16-year-old brother, a 14-year-old sister, a 10-year-old sister, and a 10-year-old brother. Our mother is severely bipolar, but very resistant to treatment and, to be frank, is an absolutely terrible mother. I've done my best my whole life to raise my siblings, since she clearly isn't going to, and I like to think I've done quite well. I've managed to keep them out of the care system most of the time, at least. 2 years ago, I finally moved out of my mom's house and started university. I stayed in the same town in case the kids needed me, but I decided I had to start putting myself first a little bit, and I couldn't keep putting off my own life because my mom is a failure of a parent, you know? With the exception of a few minor incidents, it's actually gone rather a lot more smoothly than I thought thus far. I currently have a house with 2 other students from my university, though one is currently back in her hometown for the lockdown. So, the problem. Yesterday, there was a knock on the door around noonish. I wasn't expecting anyone, but figured maybe it was the postman or my flatmate had ordered out for lunch or whatever and opened it. To my shock, all 4 of my siblings were standing on the doorstep looking as confused as I felt. The 16-year-old informed me that mom had dropped them off here without saying why or where she was going, and she was in the middle of a pretty intense manic episode, and was just sort of rambling nonsensically instead of answering any questions. Of course, I wasn't going to abandon the kids, so I let them in and have been trying desperately to get a hold of my mom ever since. I know she's getting my texts because I've been sending them on WhatsApp and it's showing me she's reading them. Also, when I call, it's ringing 2 or 3 times and then cutting out, so she's clearly seeing the calls coming in and rejecting them, rather than it ringing out. I've tried reaching out to her friends with very similar results. I don't know what to do. I don't have the space for 4 kids in the house, and it's so unfair to my housemate. Though, bless his soul, he's an absolute angel of a guy who keeps telling me not to worry and he's fine with it. I currently have the girl staying in the other housemate's vacant room, with her permission, and the boys are in my room with me. Obviously not ideal. I also frankly can't afford to take care of 4 kids all by myself. No idea what groceries are going to look like from here on out. The kids haven't brought many belongings with them, so they don't have many clean clothes. My 16-year-old brother and 14-year-old sister can probably get away with wearing my clothes if it comes to it, but I have no idea how I'm going to clothe the twins if they're here for more than a few days. I don't want the kids going into the system if I can avoid it. I've had too many traumatic experiences with it myself. Can anyone wiser and calmer than I offer some advice on what my options are here? OP, I hate to say this, but you are officially in over your head. You really need to call Child Protective Services. Luckily for you, it's generally the objective of CPS to not break up the family unit, so as long as you want to care for your siblings, they'll probably bend over backwards to help you. Plus, on top of that, it's really important that you get an official record of what happened, because what your mom did is not okay or safe. What if you were on vacation? What if your mom just dropped off your siblings and no one was home? So the authorities really need to know what happened in case this happens again. Our next Reddit post is from Throwaway Dad Lad and is an update to a previous story on an r/slash relationships advice video. In that story, OP was married to a guy who broke their dog's leg and then laughed at it. And to make matters more complicated, OP discovered she was pregnant and was wondering if maybe her husband was not the guy she thought he was. Hello all. For starters, thank you for the outpouring support and advice. I feel much less alone in this. Rufus the dog is doing well and recovering at a friend's house with her husband, along with my other dogs and senior reptiles. I decided to rehome the rest of them for their own well-being. I also left some of my essentials and important possessions with her for when I left. Initially, when I sat my husband down, it went smoothly. He agreed to seek anger management and therapy, but when I made it clear the dogs weren't coming back for a while, he got angry. He felt like I was being immature and he was being treated like an abuser. Reminding him that what he was doing was abusive seemed to hurt his pride, so he went to take a walk to cool off. Unfortunately for him, he left his phone behind, and it started to go off constantly after about 10 minutes or so. Now, I've never once felt the need to go through his phone, but last night I decided to. I have no idea why, and I kind of regret it, but I did, and I found some wild stuff I was not expecting. Turns out he was linking up with his old high school flame, a crazy woman we'll call Sarah. Sarah was crazy. I'll kill myself if you leave me daddy issues kind of crazy. She even stalked me for a bit early in our relationship, but it seemed like he wanted nothing to do with her. Turns out, a few months before quarantine, they were chummy again and were hooking up, sexting and trading nudes. You know, the whole package. I couldn't help but think that maybe his sudden spike in aggression was stemming from his double life and lacking passionate hugging with his ex stress. When he returned, he knew something was up, and I let him know that I know, and he lost it. Crying, "Please don't leave me, I love you, I don't know why I did it, the whole works." I told him I was leaving and he tried to stop me, but with some help from my friend and her husband, I was able to leave without things getting physical. I still haven't told him I'm pregnant, but I'm roughly 8 weeks and still haven't decided what to do about that. He still doesn't know. Thankfully, I have no STDs, even though he was passionately hugging with both of us at the same time without me knowing. I'm heartbroken and filing for divorce, and most likely going to avoid bringing a kid into all of this mess. But Rufus is being his supportive best, so I'm going to press on and hope for the best. OP, I'm really glad you're getting yourself out of that situation because that's just red flag after red flag. And looks like Rufus here is the real MVP. Our next Reddit post is from Throwaway Oh Boy. I found out my friend commissioned an adult graphic drawing of me without my knowledge or consent, and I don't know what to do. So for context, we're college students. I'm a 21-year-old female and he's a 21-year-old male, who met freshman year through mutual friends and have been acquaintances until this January, when we were in a discussion section for a class together and started talking more. It was just friendly and stayed that way the whole time. I've had a string of not great romantic experiences in college and have sort of put a full pause on flirting, dating, etc. for a while, and have always been very blunt with my friends, including him, about it. Since the pandemic hit, I moved back home and we only communicate over text now. Let's call him James. James's roommate, Leon, a 22-year-old male, is tight with one of my best friends, Sam, a 21-year-old male. Leon decided to move back home when school shut down as well, and while he was packing, he came across a rolled up small print in the back of their shared closet, and unrolled it to see if it belonged to him or not. The image was a drawing of a girl nude performing an explicit act, and she looks exactly like me. Like, I'm not even really friends with Leon, and he immediately thought, oh, that kind of looks like OP. Face, body type, even both of my birthmarks. One in a very noticeable spot, and one he would only know about from me mentioning it in passing. It's all eerily similar to me. Leon immediately got spooked and took a photo of it and sent it to Sam because he thought I should be notified of the print's existence. Sam forwarded it to me, and I found the original artist's Twitter handle off the signature. He's a not safe for work artist who also does commissions and will often post those commissions after completing them, and sure enough, I scrolled back far enough to find what is basically my naked body drawn on this man's timeline. Posted all the way back in February, which means James had paid for it like months ago, maybe right when we found out we had a class together. I've been talking to him for months and he's had this for basically the whole time. This discovery was 2 weeks ago, and I feel effing disgusted and honestly violated. I stopped talking to him for the most part, but I'm afraid that he'll circulate the image more if I stop speaking to him entirely or tell him that I know. His roommate promised not to say anything because he was pretty disgusted too, and as far as I know, he stayed true to that. I want to cut James off completely, and I want the artist to remove the post of the commission from his Twitter. But I'm so scared and ashamed to reach out because I hate drawing more attention to the fact that this drawing even effing exists. And I shudder thinking about the artist possibly using reference photos of me for the drawing. So I guess my advice requests are: 1. Should I bother trying to get the post taken down, and if I do, how do I make sure he does it? 2. Should I confront James? I never want to speak to this man again, but I would be mortified if he circulated the image at all. Should I just block him? Is there someone I should report him to or something? 3. Is this an overreaction and should I do nothing? I haven't told any of my friends besides the one who informed me because it makes me so uncomfortable and I need an outside perspective. I've never shown any kind of romantic interest in this man and just wanted to be his friend. And he showed absolutely zero interest in me as well. He's had this image for months, all while still talking to me, and it makes me feel so effing icky and brings back memories of aforementioned sucky adult experiences, and I just don't want to be around him. Sorry if this was overly long, I'm just really over my head here. Down in the comments, we had this great contribution from Ugh Names Are Hard. Hey, I'm an artist who does commissions, and it honestly never occurred to me that the people who I get commissioned to draw wouldn't want me drawing them like that. And I'm kinda having a WTF moment. I don't do adult art though, so it's a bit of a different beast. That said, if someone contacted me and asked me to remove a piece of art I made of them because of something like this, I'd delete it in an effing heartbeat, no doubt about it. If it was a particularly good piece that I was proud of, I might keep the process files just because I try not to destroy my old art because it's important for my growth. But even then, I'd still probably end up deleting it at a bare minimum, never showing it to anyone else. If the artist doesn't want to get rid of it, he's a butthole and you have every right to be mad. And there was another comment from Vibe Mouse, who's a lawyer in California. I'm not going to read his whole post because it's kinda long and technical, but here's the important part. He explains that there are invasion of privacy laws that prevent this exact sort of thing. The specific torts being committed here are using your likeness without your permission and casting you in a false light. The mere fact that an acquaintance was able to identify you within the drawing speaks to the fact that this is clearly created in your image. Vibe Mouse then goes on to explain that OP can take legal and civil actions, including filing a report with the police, potentially a restraining order. So in California at least, what this guy did was a really big deal. And OP absolutely has steps she can take to correct this. Our next Reddit post is from Throwaway Amy V. I, a 32-year-old female, just learned recently that 8 years ago my boyfriend, 36, euthanized his healthy dog out of spite over his ex-fiancée leaving him. My boyfriend and I dated for over a year now. Things have been great. I even moved into his apartment since the whole quarantine started. Over the weekend we were drinking a little wine and talking about our past relationships when I asked him what was the worst thing he did to an ex. Now, I asked this question after telling him a funny story about my ex, so I thought he would do the same, but what he revealed shocked me. He said that he took the dog he shared with his ex-fiancée to the vet and had him euthanized. There was absolutely nothing wrong with the dog. My boyfriend was angry over the breakup. His ex-fiancée wanted nothing more to do with him, but had asked to take their dog with her. He had felt his ex-fiancée loved the dog more, so he had asked for one more day with the dog, drove it to the vet, and watched their dog of 6 years get put to death. I'm an animal lover, but I don't want any pets because I don't have the means or time to take care of them. That said, I would never punish an animal because of what's happening between me and another person. And God, the way my boyfriend told this story with this small smile on his face, it scared and disgusted me. It's been almost 4 days since he told me this, and things between us are now weird. He tried to initiate passionate hugging today, but I told him I was tired and needed to sleep, but I'm still wide awake. I can't stop thinking about what he did. By all accounts, my boyfriend was a wonderful, loving, and caring man, but now I see him in a new light. I told my close friends about this, and they don't see what's the problem. They asked if I'm really going to break up a stable relationship over what he did to a dog over 8 years ago, but they didn't see the look on his face when he told me. I'm sure a part of him had enjoyed it. If he's willing to euthanize a dog over a breakup, then what isn't he willing to do? That's what I'm afraid of. I don't know what to do. I broke my lease to come live with my boyfriend, but there's a part of me that doesn't want to stay here anymore. Has anyone ever dealt with this kind of thing? Dated someone who euthanized their healthy pet out of spite? What do you do, and what should I do? I'm so confused. To answer your question, OP, no, I've never had to deal with this kind of thing because this kind of thing is crazy. And if I ever did have to deal with this kind of thing, it would be a same-day breakup, no questions asked. I think that on my list of deal breakers, dog murderer would be somewhere near the top. I'm a 25-year-old male, and my girlfriend, 24, destroyed my tank of fire ants. Before you ask, no, she doesn't have a problem with me keeping ants. I'm quite sure that's not the reason. We had an argument earlier today. Later, I left to get groceries and let her chill out. Came back and soon saw the state of the ant room. A spare smaller bedroom where I keep them. I guess I should give a crash course on ant farms so this makes sense. Most have 2 compartments. One emulates the underground colony with tunnels and chambers where the queen nests. Then, this is connected by a tube to a second part that emulates the above ground world where the workers go to forage for food. I hope that makes sense. There's plenty of cool videos on YouTube of people's setups. So anyway, my girlfriend had disconnected the two compartments, dumped the colony on the floor, so that's soil plus ants, and dismantled the sides of the outward part to leave the contents all over the place. I'm lucky everything is plastic, or there'd probably be broken glass everywhere too. I've had these ants for 2 years. There's hundreds of them. I've put hours and hours of work into growing this colony and crafting their environment. I know it'll sound weird or stupid to some people, but it's my hobby, similar to keeping fish in aquariums. It's like if someone dumped out your water and threw all the gravel and ornaments around, plus leaving your fish to die. Except, while I'm sure some of the ants have died, plenty are still alive for now. They have free effing range of the entire house now. I'm furious! Red fire ants are an invasive species that's gained a foothold in some parts of this country. Luckily not our part because of climate, but as long as they're alive, they'll sting any unsuspecting person who comes into contact with them or is walking barefoot. They can cause serious allergic reactions in some people. This can be fatal. Ants are drawn to dark places, so they'll very likely go into the walls. And don't worry, yes, I've thoroughly alerted the other tenants in the house what happened and how to protect themselves. This is serious stuff. And my girlfriend couldn't be bothered to think of anyone else as long as she got her revenge. I'm just so pissed because I've put in so much research, always took the utmost care in safely handling them, never even had an accident, and now it's all trashed. They're loose, not because I did something wrong, but because she went psycho. But someone will start to think it's my fault. Let's be real, insects and other exotic pets, especially ones that pose a risk if they escape or are handled improperly, aren't exactly looked well upon. The owner is always held responsible. She did apologize. She said she just got carried away because she was upset. But I just don't know if I buy that, because if she honestly had no control in the moment, then why were my ants the only thing that ended up destroyed? In a really thorough way at that. She knows its importance to me. It's not like she just attacked my old books from college or something. Also, she's been wearing shoes and gloves. That tells me the planning was there to not expose herself while exposing me and everyone else. What the F should I do? I would honestly kick her out over this, but it wouldn't be in the interest of public health because we're obviously quarantining together. Everyone's hunkered down. Right now we're in separate rooms as I'm trying to clean this mess up as best I can, and she shuts herself in the bedroom. No idea what to do. I'm still in shock she did this. I'll need to fumigate the whole apartment to be sure they're gone, and who knows when that'll be able to happen. P.S. We've been living together for almost a year, dating for more than 2 if it matters. OP, what your girlfriend did was incredibly disrespectful. She disrespected you, your hobby, your passion, and living things. Honestly, it doesn't matter if she got carried away or not. She made a choice to destroy your stuff, and that means she's capable of doing it again. I say cut your losses and move on, because that's a pretty major red flag. That was r/slash relationship advice, and if you like this video then hit that like button because it really helps my channel grow.